Welcome to Big Ideas Small Business. Today we have a really riveting topic. We are going to be talking about grief and business. So one of the things I want to be able to tell you all is that there were times in my past where we had a lot of grief in the family. And grief in the family actually trickles down into the business and how we deal with issues in the business.
You're tuned into Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen brings energy, focus, and creativity with the most cutting-edge tools and systems needed to grow business, drive profits, and achieve dreams. Ready to rise? Here's your host, Doreen Milano.
So when my grandfather died, he was the hero of all of us, and it was really devastating. And one of my cousins ended up with a trifecta. His mom was getting a divorce, granddaddy died, and there was a new man in the family. So what this child did is looked to alcohol as his coping mechanism. Today we're going to be talking to Susan English and Carrie Newman, right? And they're part of a 501c3 that actually helps children grieve. So let's get into this and let's have a conversation. Tell us more about the 501c3. What's the name of it, and how do you address kids in grief?
Okay, the name of it is Journey of Hope Grief Support Center. So what we do is we work with children and teens and help them through the process of their grief, their journey, and so that they can learn to cope with it in healthy ways, as opposed to the kind of situation that your family experienced with someone turning to alcohol as a way to cope. And I'm going to let Carrie, who is our program director, tell you more about exactly what that program looks like.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so we serve kids ages 4 through 18 and their family and caregivers. And what we provide is a safe place for these kids to come and talk about their grief and remember their loved ones, because so often they feel like they don't have the space to do that in their regular world or at school. And so our program provides them hope and support and encouragement as they are walking and navigating this journey, so that they are learning how to access healthy coping skills, find ways to remember and honor their loved ones as they get older, and know that they just aren't alone in their grief journey.
Oh, that is so important. So what I'm hearing is that these are support groups that you pair the child and the family into a support group that is dealing with the issues, the prominent issues that the child and the family are dealing with. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So we have our kids meet with other kids who are the same age. So they are with kids who get it. And the facilitators lead them through age-appropriate curriculum where they are reading children's books and doing arts and crafts projects as outlets to process their grief and to share in those memories and learn and support and encourage each other.
Oh, that is so important.
And while the kids meet, it's so great because we provide support to the whole family, and the family is able to attend a support group for adults. So the adults are able to have a place to process their grief and learn how they can support their kids as they grow older.
Now, some of the common misconceptions is telling a child that, grandma, grandpa, father, whomever is in a better place. And what does that actually do for a kid when they hear that?
For a lot of kids, they feel like, oh man, I hear that, but the better place is with me, so it confuses them. They're really starting to question, is this something that I can talk about? Because they're trying to make me feel better, but I just don't feel good. And so our job is to help normalize that it's okay to talk about all of our grief emotions. It's okay to remember our person and talk about how it's hard, but then also talk about how we move forward as a family.
And it's kind of scary, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what kind of tools do you use to help take care of the fear and the trust and the other things that kind of get mangled when somebody important to us passes on?
I think one thing is just to know that you're not alone, that there are other people your age who are going through that. We have seen kids who will say, everybody says, oh, I understand, but they don't understand. And we had one participant who said, all the kids in my class, nobody else had their father die. And so they don't understand. But in these groups, everybody there understands that the person who died may be a different relationship to them, but it's still someone else who's experienced a loss, who's their age. And so I think that's a big part of the benefit of participating in these groups. Carrie can talk more, specifically about what happens during the group time.
Yeah, and I think our facilitators try to create safety for these kids to explore what trust and how their identity is shifted, and what does it mean to be a daughter now that my parent has died, or what does it mean to be a brother since my sister died, and how do I move forward knowing that this person isn't going to walk alongside me, and these important milestones like graduation or achieving an accomplishment in a sport or activity, how can I still know that they're with me and I'm still connected to them in my heart even though they aren't physically with me.
Big deal. Truly is. So are you dealing with kids who've lost classmates? Mm-hmm. Are you dealing with kids who have, lost grandparents and other support people within the family?
Absolutely. So we have kids who come into our program because a parent or sibling has died, but we also have many families who attend because a grandparent, an extended family member, a best friend, maybe the teenager's first partner has died. And so we want to provide a safe place for anyone who's grieving the death of someone in their world. Huge benefit. So, I've been in business a long time. And one of the big issues in business is finding people to work for you who are healthy, have a good perspective, and are engaging, or engaged. And oftentimes, people who have experienced this level of loss kind of go in on themselves and become very introverted, and they're not as engaging as they could be as employees. They're not safe to just put themselves out there. So how are you, as an organization, addressing how kids can keep that open perspective? Sure. So I think what's really important is as kids get older and as adults are grieving, that they know that it's okay to talk about their grief. It's okay to share. I'm having a grief day. I have big emotions. I woke up and it's been really tough for me. And I know that I have to balance being an adult in the world or being a kid in school, but that I can also be productive at the same time and to have that compassion and empathy.
Awesome. So when we are talking about grief, that's a very heavy subject, right? And I would imagine that the support groups are dealing with heavy subjects, but they're also introducing some light into this topic.
Right. I think that, part of it is to learn that it's okay to still have fun, and it's okay to be happy, even though you have lost someone very important. And I think the groups help with that.
Both can be true. We can still miss our person and still find joy in the everyday.
That's really great. We are going to take a commercial break, and we're going to talk to our sponsors, and we're going to have a good time. So we'll be right back.
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Does it mean exposing the deadly fentanyl crisis in the Midwest? We're spending late nights uncovering deep government corruption. does it mean persevering over 20 years, even after 4 masked men set one of our printing presses on fire last year? Because at a time when America's traditional values are under attack, it's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
Our position in the market is that we work for a customer to align them with the correct retailer for their business. We'll custom price and build a contract around your business requirements, not around the supplier's preferred way of doing things. We go and do a custom price based on your energy usage profile. And in our business, we can help any commercial business owner regardless of the size of their company. If you're paying $100 for your electricity per month or you're paying $1 million, we're able to help you get a better price based on who you are. Our position in the market is that we work for a customer to align them with the correct retailer for their business. Texas is very proud to have been able to shut down 9 coal-fired power plants in the last 2 years and replace that production with clean burning renewable energy. 85% of the electricity in the grid for Texas is used on commercial. We're here to help those 85% reduce their costs as much as possible.
Welcome back to Big Ideas Small Business, and today we are talking about grief and how it affects our businesses. So one of the questions I have for you ladies is this. When my cousin started going to alcohol to deal with the issues that he was facing, I was babysitting him and I watched him pour himself a drink. And I'm only like a year older than he is. And so I said, you really shouldn't be doing that. And he goes, I'm going to do it anyway. And so when my aunt came back, I, said, Auntie, this is what's going on. And I don't think it's okay. And she kind of flipped out, and which I would expect that as a parent you would do. So the question really becomes, how do you set somebody up to hear this kind of information and have it be effective and useful information rather than just the shock factor? He's pouring vodka and filling it back up with water, right? And I was probably 13 at the time. And, I just knew how to tell the truth. That's it. But really, these are really impactful conversations. So how do you really set somebody up to have this conversation in a meaningful way?
Sure. So I think really one of the first things to do is to normalize grief and emotions, and also have education around what might be some common responses or reactions you might see in kids and adults. So things like substance use, or also recognizing if a child is having trouble with sleep or they're withdrawing and isolating. Those are all signs that someone may be struggling. And so to recognize this is what's going on, but also to say, hey, I'm noticing that you're doing some things that scare me or really worry me. I wonder what's going on. And asking those really tough questions and not being afraid to go there.
Well, that's one of the reasons that I asked you to come and join us, because in my family, that was back in 1968, there wasn't this type of support available. Mm-hmm. Now that you're here and this type of support is available, it is so important, in my opinion, that people, number one, recognize that you're out there, and number two, get involved. So now, one of the things you told me off air here was that you actually help businesses that have experienced loss within their business with somebody passing suddenly or what have you. So how do you go into a business and support them through this process?
Yeah, so we create an opportunity, a meeting where we can come and acknowledge your company, your business has experienced the death of someone, and that is going to be impactful. It also may bring up your own grief and loss history. And so let's normalize having these conversations, knowing that your company supports you and supports your grief. And let's talk and remember that person. Let's talk about some of the signs and symptoms that you might be struggling on down the line, and how you can receive support, whether that's through counseling through your agency or through your health insurance, and finding opportunities to remember and heal together.
Now, your services are free, is that correct?
The group
Meeting.
program for the children and families is free. Yes. We do have a charge for where we're going into a business, because our primary goal is to help the children and families more directly. But we recognize that there is an impact to business when there has been a death. And so because we know about that and know that people need an outlet to talk about it, we have decided to include some services for businesses.
Well, those meaningful conversations with adults trickle down to the kids and the family.
Absolutely.
I mean, they do. So inadvertently, you're actually meeting your mission by helping the adult in the workplace understand what grief is, so that, the kids in the family are able to have those conversations as well.
Right. And I mean, then we also, train professionals who might be in a position to interact with children, and help them recognize the signs that a child might need some help, and try to make them aware of our services, but also just give them some tools to use. And we're doing more of that to help help expand what we're doing in person, because we can't be everywhere and we can't have 1,000 groups.
Right.
So we are trying to enable others who might be able to provide some support if it's not readily available from us.
So as a parent, what are the signs that I have to look for to understand that my child is having difficulty with grief or coping with a loss of any kind?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger ones to look out for is if your child has withdrawn and has lost interest in some of their favorite things, their sports activities, they're spending more time alone, which we know can be a normal thing, especially for teenagers.
Yeah.
But you also have to recognize when it might be more concerning. And those are some of the bigger symptoms we see and hear from our families who come through the program. Something else we hear a lot of is big outburst, big anger, sometimes misdirected at other people or situations, and knowing I'm seeing this anger, but I know there's more underneath the surface. There's more going on with my kid and they need some extra help. And so those are two of the bigger ones that we see where a family may need to seek grief support group or other services.
Well, that's helpful. I mean, I can think back to notice, there were certain things within my own family where there was a divorce in the family, or there was this going on or that going on, where certain people, adults even, were exhibiting what you're talking about. The big angry outbursts, the big things. And so the kids were left scratching their heads going, what do we do here? Mm-hmm. How do we deal with this?
Right.
Right? Because when dad or auntie or whoever is going through this, we don't know how to fix it.
Right.
I think what was really great is one of our participants shared that when her brother died, she felt like her parents were only half of a parent because they were navigating their own grief and the own changes in their family. And so these kids recognize that the whole family is grieving, and we can have compassion and empathy for each other, while also knowing that it's okay to talk about and move through some of these difficult and challenging aspects of the grief, knowing that we can still talk about it and remember our loved ones, and that it's okay to feel angry and sad and upset, but it's also okay to find that hope and delight and joy.
Yeah, I think that's why, our name is Journey of Hope, because it is something that we are helping these families find once again after they've experienced something that's really tough. And they
Very
may
tough,
feel very unhopeful for quite some time, or intermittently over a very long time. And so one of the things that we offer is that our families can participate at any point in their own grief journey. It doesn't have to be right after it happens. They might participate for a little while, and then find that, okay, they think they're all right, but then several years later, they're realizing that
Things have
they're
shifted again.
still processing that grief, and that it would be useful to come into our program again, and we offer that.
That's incredible. So we're going to stop here for a second and talk to our sponsors. I'm learning a lot. Stay tuned.
Strong business has always been the clear economic indicator. WorkSuites in Allen, Texas is just one of 18 locations in DFW and Houston that support your necessary transitions with full service and affordable workspaces for upgrading or downsizing your current workload. You need to be focused on growth. Trust the office experts and helpful staff at WorkSuites to take care of everything else, from dedicated phone lines and internet to furnished executive and co-working spaces. The OBBM network has tripled our business in the short months we've been with WorkSuites and encourages you to step out boldly, make the tough decisions, and get back to work your way. Your nation depends on it. The OBBM network acknowledges that this is a pivotal time in history, and it is clear the United States of America has been undermined by many of our elected officials for some time now. We want our local business audience to stand strong in the face of what we now understand, and to be empowered to grow our businesses on the local level beyond the limitations that have been imposed upon us. We believe it is in our national interest to inspire our communities through strong economic development, and additionally to hold our elected officials accountable for accurate representation of we the people. For that reason, we encourage you to go to WeStandForFreedom.com to learn about the National Write Your Congressman organization that has been the trusted communication tool for local communities for over 60 years. Learn how your representatives are voting. Understand the laws and regulations under consideration on the state and federal level before they are enacted at the county and city levels. Communicate directly with these officials and stand up for yourself, for by doing so, you will protect the communities you serve from tyrannical rule and unconstitutional reforms. The OBBM network is the premier voice for local business, and we take that responsibility seriously. The OBBM network has everything you need to grow and transition your business for success on popular syndicated podcast networks, Roku and other video channels, and the OBBM network app. We work for you, local business, and we've got your back.
Welcome back. We're talking about grief today, and we have Susan English and Carrie Newman from Journey of Hope. And one of the questions that we want to understand is the process.
Yeah, so with grief, we know that it is a lifelong journey, and that children and adults are going to be thinking about and remembering their loved one and feeling all of those feelings throughout their life. And so Journey provides an opportunity for them to know that it's okay for their grief to feel really heavy and big on some days, and for some days that it might not be as big or as to the forefront of their mind, and it's okay to experience both of those. A lot of our families might feel a little bit of guilt of, is it okay for me to have fun? Is it okay for me to play with my friends? And so we want to really acknowledge that, yes, both can be true, that you can miss your loved one and feel sad about that, but you can also find hope moving forward.
Now, as a nonprofit, how can businesses get involved and support you? What is it that they can do to be a part of Journey of Hope?
Well, there are always opportunities for sponsorships of events and outright donations, but in addition, we have some volunteer opportunities where a business might do a drive for some of the supplies we would use during our groups with the craft type activities for the children, and also a stuffed animal drive. And the reason for that is that we give every child a stuffed animal as they come into our program. And that's really a source of comfort and something that they can use when they aren't in our groups and they need a little bit of a reminder, maybe, that they are not alone in this journey. And so having a stuffed animal drive would be a great way to help, because, there are a lot of grieving children, and so we always need more stuffed animals.
So how can people find you?
We have a website. It's JOH for Journey of Hope, griefsupport.org. So you just Google Journey of Hope and find the one that's local. There are some others around the country, but we're the local one. And so that's a good way to do it. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram. So there's lots of ways to connect with us and find out more information.
Yay. That's always good to have the resources available. Now, if a business needs your support, is it best for them to go online, or is it best for them to call?
Probably it's best to call, because Carrie would want to have a conversation with them about, what it is that they're needing and how we could be helpful. Or if we can't be helpful, she's got lots of resources.
What other resources
to
are
refer
available?
Them to, yeah.
So what's the number?
Our phone number is 972-964-1600.
Awesome. Look at your company. If you're looking for a project to engage your employees, especially if the employees are remote employees, this is a way to bring everybody together under one goal to help kids process grief. You can do the stuffed animal drive, you can do the supplies, you can do a lot of things. It's really important for you and your company to get involved, and this is a great way to do that. Right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And is there anything else as a nonprofit that you need at this point?
Well, right now we are meeting in our groups virtually over Zoom because of COVID, but soon we hope we'll be able to resume in-person groups. And part of what we do with those in-person groups is have a meal for the families all to share together with the facilitators. And so we can also use groups who can help provide those meals, either pay for them or actually bring them and serve them to the families. So that would be another way to support us going a little bit later.
That sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I know a lot of grill masters out there who can help come and feed people. So that's awesome. We love to get the community involved and be a business to really give back and reap the rewards of actually being involved.
Yes, absolutely.
Being involved gives you a lot. So again, the phone number is?
972-964-1600.
Give them a call. Thank you so much for watching Big Ideas Small Business. I hope to see you soon. The fact is, business has changed. Engagement has changed. And for us to recover our businesses and our communities, we have to engage differently. If you want to have a serious conversation about engagement, community, and your business, call me, Doreen Milano, Visions to Excellence. I'm an executive coach. You can reach me at 650-483-5798 or contact me online at v2e.biz. That's capital V, number 2, e.biz. Let's have a conversation.
This has been Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen Milano solves problems for small and mid-market family-owned businesses and service-based industries. To work with Doreen, go to v2e.biz. For guest and sponsorship information, call 650-483-5798. Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano is produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM Network. For OBBM Network programming information, call 214-714-0495. Unauthorized use of any part of Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano without prior permission through the OBBM network is strictly prohibited.